Once upon a time, at the edge of a quiet forest, there lived a boy named Peter. Peter wasn't one for sitting around. Oh no, he was always off on some adventure, climbing trees, chasing butterflies, or seeing how far he could skip a stone across the pond. Peter lived with his grandpa, a grumpy sort of fellow, but mostly just loved Peter to bits. Grandpa was always reminding him, "Don't go wandering out beyond the garden gate. It's dangerous out there." He'd wag his finger and talk about the wolf that prowled in the forest. Peter didn't really believe in this wolf. He'd never seen it, not even a paw print. Probably just a big dog, he thought, shrugging. But he did dream of the wolf. He would dream about it sneaking in through his window or waiting for him on his way to school. He had to know for sure if the wolf was real. So one sunny morning, when Peter saw the garden gate was slightly open, he thought, what could go wrong? And slipped outside. Peter hadn't gone far when he bumped into a little robin, fluttering from branch to branch.
Tweet, tweet! What's up, Peter?
Chirped the robin. Oh, you know, just exploring, Peter said casually, as though he didn't have strict instructions to stay inside. The robin tilted its head.
You're pretty brave. What about the wolf?
Peter snorted. There's no wolf.
Suit yourself,
said the robin, hopping from tree to tree beside him. Just then, a duck waddled up, quacking loudly. Peter, what are you doing outside the garden? The duck demanded. Same as you, Peter said, hands on his hips. Well, I'm out here because the pond inside is boring, huffed the duck.
It's a shame you can't just fly away like me,
the robin taunted.
It must be such a sad little life, just bobbing around in that muddy little pond.
The duck quacked indignantly at the robin and flapped his wings crossly, and before you knew it, the robin and the duck were arguing. Peter rolled his eyes. All right, calm down, you two. As the robin and the duck squabbled, Peter heard a soft meow. Trouble brewing, Peter? Purred a sleek black cat slinking towards them. Nah, just these two bird brains, Peter replied. The cat's eyes gleamed. That little robin looks tasty. Don't even think about it, warned Peter. The robin fluffed up his feathers, offended.
Excuse me? You choke on me, furball.
Before the cat could pounce, Peter raised his voice. Enough! Let's all just... But then, a deep, low growl rolled through the trees like thunder. Peter froze. The robin froze. The duck froze mid-quack. Even the cat, who was usually too cool to care, froze. Out from the shadows with golden eyes that gleamed like fire, stepped the wolf. Whoa, whispered Peter. Okay, so Grandpa really wasn't kidding. The wolf licked its lips, his eyes flicking from one delicious morsel to the next. The robin, the duck, the cat and Peter didn't waste another second. They each turned and fled. The duck flapped and waddled as fast as it could toward the pond. The robin zipped up to a high branch. The cat bolted to the nearest tree and scrambled up like its life depended on it, which it definitely did. But Peter, he grabbed a thick branch and stood his ground. You're not getting past me, he said, though his heart was pounding like a drum. The wolf lunged, snapping its jaws, but Peter was quick. He dodged left, then right, swinging his branch like a knight with a sword.
Over here!
Shouted the robin, flapping and diving at the wolf's head to distract it. Peter spotted a rope hanging from a tree. An idea struck him like lightning. He grabbed the rope, climbed the tree faster than he thought possible, and tied a loop. Hey, big bad wolf! Peter shouted. The wolf snarled and leapt towards him, but Peter dropped the loop right over its head and shoulders. With a mighty tug, he pulled the rope tight around the wolf's middle. The wolf thrashed and growled, but it was stuck, swinging upside down from the tree branch. Just then, Peter heard a familiar voice shouting, Peter, where are you? It was Grandpa, running towards him with a group of hunters. They stopped short, staring in amazement at the sight of Peter holding the rope, and the wolf tied up like a big furry package. You caught it? One hunter asked, jaw dropped. Peter grinned. Well, I had some help, he said, nodding to the robin, duck and cat, who all looked pretty pleased with themselves. Grandpa sighed, shaking his head. Peter, you're grounded for a week. Peter frowned. And, Grandpa added with a wink, you're the bravest kid I know. The hunters carefully tied the wolf up and were about to take it away when the wolf looked up at Peter, fear and desperation in his yellow eyes. Wait, Peter said. What are you going to do with him? The hunters looked grave. One of them knelt down before Peter and put his hand on his shoulder. This wolf won't be a danger to you anymore, young man. You're not going to hurt him, are you? Peter asked, his eyes wide with shock. The hunter shifted from one foot to the other and couldn't seem to meet Peter's eye. There must be another way, Peter said. He thought, and just as before, an idea hit him like lightning. What about the zoo? He said suddenly. They have lovely big enclosures and lots of other wolves, and he would be comfortable and well fed, and we would be safe from him, and he would be safe from us. Could that work? The hunter smiled and said, Yes, Peter, that would work. The wolf looked at Peter again, and he swore he could see the relief and gratitude in the wolf's eyes. Peter stepped towards the wolf, dodging Grandpa's hand that tried to pull him back, and he reached out to stroke the wolf's soft fur. The wolf stayed perfectly still. Okay, Peter said gently, turning to the hunters. You can take him. So the hunters took the wolf away, and Peter returned to the garden, where Grandpa made a big pot of soup to celebrate. The robin stayed to share the crumbs, and the duck quacked about its narrow escape, and the cat curled up by the fire like nothing had happened. But Peter still dreamed of the wolf every night, wondering if he had made the right decision, hoping that he really was having a good life in the zoo. A year later, Peter and his grandfather visited the zoo together. They rushed past the naughty monkeys, the towering giraffes and the ferocious tigers, until they reached the wolf enclosure. They watched and waited, and finally they saw the wolf from the forest step out tentatively from his den, followed by a slightly smaller wolf. The smaller one nuzzled his neck and then turned her head to look back into the den, and 3 fluffy little cubs tumbled and rolled out one by one. They jumped and pawed at the wolf, tugging his ears and licking his face. Peter and his grandfather laughed, and the wolf looked up at Peter, recognition shining in his eyes. He stared for a long time and then dipped his chin at Peter, who nodded back. That night, Peter dreamed of the wolf. He dreamed of riding on the wolf's back, his hands dug deep into the wolf's fur, holding tight, racing through the forest, the wind whipping his face. After that, he never dreamed of the wolf again, because he knew for a fact that he had done the right thing. And so, Peter and the wolf lived happily ever after. The end. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this magical story. If you want to come along on more of our adventures, make sure you subscribe to our channel. There's so much more to be discovered. You can start right now by clicking on our channel and picking your next favourite tale. There really is something for everyone, from daring heroes and mischievous creatures to magical lands and secret wonders. And remember, by subscribing, you'll be the first to know when a brand new story is ready to be enjoyed. Let's go.